On this battlefield are your friendly enemies. Their names, known across the continent. Cale Yarborough, three-time winner of the Southern 500, and three-time stock car racing's national champion. David Pearson, graying hair on the outside and lots of gray matter on the inside, have earned him a nickname, the Silver Fox. Buddy Baker, 6'5", a gentle giant, except when he's trying to pass you. Bobby Allison, another three-time winner of this Southern 500. He knows the track inch by inch and uses radio to keep in touch with his pit crew. So does Benny Parsons. And so does the king of stock car racing, Richard Petty. Petty has 85 more victories than any other driver. He has earned $3 million behind the wheel. Today, Petty is nursing ribs injured in a crash 2 weeks ago. There's a question whether he can go the full 500 miles. Challenging these veterans are young men like Darrell Waltrip, who has led the Southern 500, but never won. This is the 29th Southern 500, the oldest 500-mile stock car race in America. The pace lap is underway. It's a slow lap to warm the engines and tires and to get rid of the butterflies that are part of waiting. Years ago at this track, the fans knocked down fences to watch ordinary passenger cars run for big money. No longer are these ordinary passenger cars. Competition has changed the breed. As cow ponies are different from thoroughbreds, these are different from showroom models. A first-class racing stock car costs $25,000 to build and $200,000 or $300,000 to campaign during a year-long season. If you're going to race, you'd better be rich or a winner. 40 cars with a power of 25,000 horses are crowded onto a track that's 1 1/3 long. These cars run on bigger and wider tracks, but none tougher. The Darlington track is egg-shaped, with a radius of turns 1 and 2 different than turns 3 and 4. It's impossible to set up a race car chassis that will work equally well on both ends of the track. Veteran drivers decide on where they'll try to pass and give up performance at the other end. Most drivers agree. I'd rather drive anywhere else, but I'd rather win at Darlington. On the pole, inside front row, David Pearson, number 21, fastest qualifier. Next to Pearson is Darrell Waltrip, number 88. In the second row, Bobby Allison inside, Benny Parsons outside. Row 3, Lenny Pond and Cale Yarborough. Each car earns its starting position by running 2 laps against the clock. Faster cars start in front. Now, onto the main straightaway, looking for the green flag, and the first of 367 laps. They're racing, heading for the first turn with engines roaring like cannon fire. Pearson looks at the wall and keeps his foot down. Waltrip holds second, Bobby Allison is third, Benny Parsons holds fourth. It's Mercury, Chevrolet, Ford, and Chevrolet. The enormous crowd of nearly 75,000 is cheering for favorite car and driver. Off the backstretch and into turn 3, with Pearson showing the field the fast way around. Pearson is one of stock car racing's all-time greats. He's fought for 100 victories during his 17-year career. He's won the Rebel 500 on this track 6 times and won the Southern 500 twice. He's forgotten more about this racetrack than most drivers ever learned. Race cars must be set up differently for every track. Gear ratios, spring ratios, steering controls are all adjustable, and it takes a great driver to know exactly what to change and how to change it. The track at Darlington has been completely resurfaced, adding another unknown. Is it faster? More slippery? How will it feel late in the race when there's oil and rubber on it? Dozens of questions fill that part of their mind, not busy with handling a guided missile in traffic at better than 150 miles an hour. There's a car under the wall on the front stretch. That's Ty Scott at the wheel, pointing at the first turn after a short ride backward that must have seemed like forever. Scott keeps it under control and will try to motor around to his pit to see if he can stay in the race. Luckily, Scott kept his car low on the track, away from fast traffic. The yellow flag flies to warn other drivers that cleanup crews are on the track, and the pace car slows everybody down. Pit road is busy as a lover's lane on Saturday night. The veteran racers refuel and change tires. Some drivers ask their mechanics to change the spring settings. With a few turns of a wrench, a car's handling characteristics can be adjusted to track conditions. Then it's back to the wars. First car on the track will get position 1 when the green flag flies again. Dave Marcus in number 2 is on his way, followed by Waltrip in number 88, who slams into Neil Bonnet, and Bonnet's car hooks some television cables stretched across the track. The cables come down across the pit area, but not over the track. No one was hurt as those inch-thick cables tore loose from their supports. Here's what happened in slow motion. Waltrip swung wide to pass Pearson's parked car and hit Neil Bonnet's left front fender. Bonnet's car brushed the wall and a telephone pole. Like a sailfish taking a hook, it roared down pit road with a long line of heavy cable. Bonnet's car shook off the cables, but the damage had been done. Luckily, no injuries from that backlash. They're ready to run again. The green flag signals for high speed, and Dave Pearson is in front of the pack, but he's not leading the race. A long pit stop for 4 fresh tires has dropped him to 6th position. 2 cars behind Pearson is Buddy Baker's number 27 Army Chevrolet, and he's in position 1. Right behind Baker's car, Darrell Waltrip has position 2, but Donnie Allison is passing. Allison passes deep in the 3rd turn, and there's Cale Yarborough following Allison like a shadow. Allison is 2nd, Yarborough 3rd, and Waltrip drops 2 positions in about 4 seconds. It's flat-out racing now. They've found where they can pass and who they can pass. Now it's a question of taking a deep breath and doing it. There's Cale Yarborough going for 2nd place by diving into turn 3 with full power. Yarborough's got 2nd. And here comes Waltrip. It's a game of 150-mile-an-hour musical chairs. Before the track was resurfaced, passing in turn 3 was a hair-raising piece of work. Now, they make it look easy. After 200 miles, 6 cars are running nose to tail, and everybody's chasing number 27, Buddy Baker, who has a tight grip on position 1. There's a challenge from Cale Yarborough, who is closing on the leader. Baker hammers the throttle of his Army Chevrolet and turns one of the fastest laps ever run on this racetrack, better than 152 miles an hour. But Cale Yarborough, 3-time winner of the Southern 500, fills Baker's rearview mirror. Yarborough tries to bluff Baker in turn 1, but Buddy doesn't back off. Yarborough's got to show a better hand to take the lead as they lap slower cars. Yarborough's going for the front and gets it. Baker slides as a blast of air from Yarborough's car slams into him with the force of a tornado. Right behind Baker in position 3 is Darrell Waltrip's number 88. There's trouble in turn 4. A chain reaction of cars out of control. One car's in the fence, another is slammed midships. The yellow flag and yellow signal lights around the track warn all drivers to slow down. Bobby Wawak is out of his car, which backed into the guardrail and slid for 200 feet. Dave Marcus on the left and Ricky Rudd on the right are both safe, although their cars are heavily damaged. Every driver will pass that spot with an unspoken thought. It could just as well be me. Marcus makes it through the heavy traffic that's heading for the pit road. The chain reaction started as Bobby Wawak blew a tire, spun 180 degrees, and knocked Dave Marcus, number 2, out of control. Wawak's car sailed backward at 100 miles an hour for the length of a city block directly in the path of fast cars. It's a miracle someone didn't tear into it. While this was happening, Dave Marcus, broadside to traffic, was hit solidly by Ricky Rudd. Both drivers were shaken, but not injured. The injury to Bobby Wawak goes deeper. He's been seriously hurt in accidents on other tracks, and his wife can't forget. Racing's a great life, if you're a winner. The race has restarted, and the Leadfoots are at the head of the pack. In position 1, Cale Yarborough. Right behind him, David Pearson, but Pearson is a full lap behind Yarborough. Pearson's had 2 long pit stops. He's trying to make up for lost time, but it's tough getting past a man like Yarborough. There's still 200 miles to run, and Pearson's won lots of races on the last lap. Pearson tries to unlap himself, but Yarborough is just too fast. In second position, Buddy Baker's number 27. Darrell Waltrip's number 88 is right behind Baker. There's an invisible path around the track called the Groove. Unlike other superspeedways, Darlington is not quite 2 lanes wide. A driver has just a few seconds on each lap to decide where he wants to pass. Then punch the throttle and make his move. Dave Pearson tries to unlap himself, but Yarborough is too strong. Waltrip outbraves Buddy Baker and takes second place. Yarborough holds a lead of 3 car lengths. On this track, that's enough. Baker, who led the race earlier, seems to be slowing down. There goes Donnie Allison in number 1 passing Baker. Buddy is racing's hard charger. He never slows down unless the car's coming apart under him. Donnie, like Baker, is one of racing's hard luck drivers. He's led a lot more races than he's been able to win. Something seems to go wrong at the worst possible time for Donnie Allison and Buddy Baker. Now, Allison's in 3rd place, less than a straightaway behind Yarborough's flying Chevrolet. Moving in behind Baker is Donnie Allison's brother, Bobby. Up front, Pearson is still hammering on the door, but Yarborough keeps it nailed shut. He doesn't want a competitor like Pearson on the same lap. If there's a yellow flag, NASCAR's rules allow everybody to bunch up, and Yarborough will have Pearson right behind him. Richard Petty is out of his car, using oxygen to clear his head. The seat pushed against his injured ribs on every turn. Buddy Baker slowing down on pit lane. And there's the end of the road for the Army's hard charger. Engine failure. Yarborough's riding high, wide, and handsome, cutting through traffic with the confidence of a 3-time winner. He knows exactly what that car can do, and, just as important, what it can't do. Yarborough shows the way to Waltrip, Donnie Allison, and Bobby Allison in that order. All the leaders are flying past slower traffic. Drivers who can't run with the leaders are told to stay down out of the high groove. There's a slow car into the wall, high in the second turn. Look out! Cuckoo Marlin rams the wall. Here come the leaders. Dave Pearson and D.K. Ulrich slam into Grant Adcock's stall car. Other drivers slide all over the racetrack. There on the left is the car that started it all, driven by Grant Adcock's. On the right, D.K. Ulrich sits in junk metal, and it's burning. There's Pearson's number 21. The drivers are still in their demolished race cars. If these were ordinary passenger cars without roll bars or safety reinforcements, this might have been a tragedy. NASCAR safety regulations were lifesavers here. The rescue teams report that no driver is seriously injured. Pearson's out of his car, looks at the damage, and knows he's through for the day. Ulrich's car looks like it was run over by a train. Ulrich and Adcock's are going to the hospital in the infield. From another viewpoint, here's what happened. Adcock's in number 41 slid along the wall and then down the track as Cuckoo Marlin came by. Adcock, sideways to traffic, blocked the fast lane. Ulrich slammed into Adcock's, and then Pearson also hit him. After a long yellow flag and pit stops by all the leaders, the race is on. Yarborough still leads, with Bobby Allison in number 15 Ford right on his bumper. Behind Allison is Waltrip's number 88. They're running better than 150 miles an hour, as if they were tied together by a tow rope. It's getting close to showdown time, and Bobby Allison wants to know just how fast Yarborough can run. Both these men are three-time winners of the Southern 500. There are no four-time winners yet, and the battle that's shaping up right now may decide whether there's going to be one. Door handle to door handle is what they call this kind of racing. This is an amazing show. Two of the fastest cars and drivers on the circuit, proving that Darlington really is 2 lanes wide. It is if you're Bobby Allison and Cale Yarborough. Each trusts himself and the man in the next car to do the right thing at the right time. If either slides 1 foot, it's goodbye everybody. Waltrip stays right behind the leaders. This is historic stock car racing, and the crowd is going wild. Moving in right behind Waltrip is Donnie Allison. Waltrip bobbles and hits Allison. He's heading for the wall. Allison, stock car racing's hard luck hero, is shaken but not injured. He's led many Southern 500s, but never come home first. He gave the wall a tremendous clout. The leaders, Yarborough and Bobby Allison, were running like 2 railroad trains on parallel tracks. But Waltrip, right behind them, slid, dropped down, and bumped Allison. These cars are traveling so fast that the slightest nudge will put them out of control. After the accident, Allison said, "Waltrip just turned left. I didn't see any turn signal or anything. He just turned left." Allison did a great job of driving, sliding across the track without hitting anybody. Dave Marcus wheels a Petty Chevrolet into the pits, ready to get the car back to Richard Petty. Dale Inman, one of the mainstays of the Petty crew, goes in the window to help Richard readjust the seat belts. Marcus held 4th place while Richard rested his injured ribs. Now, Richard wants to drive the closing laps at Darlington. Allison's car is towed in. The track is clear, and the race is on. 100 laps to go. Yarborough in number 11 Chevrolet still shows the way. Waltrip, thanks to a fast pit stop, is second. Richard Petty and Bobby Allison are close behind in positions 3 and 4. It's still anybody's race, and all 4 drivers have a special desire to win. Yarborough wants to be the first man to win the Southern 500 4 times. A victory would also give him a big lead for NASCAR's national championship. Waltrip has won the Rebel 500 on this track, but not the granddaddy of them all, the Southern 500. A victory would add to his national reputation. Richard Petty has switched from his familiar Dodge to a Chevrolet, trying to get back in the winning groove. He's won the Southern 500 only once in his brilliant career. Bobby Allison in 4th spot also has 3 Southern 500 victories. Like Yarborough, he wants to be the first man to win 4. There goes Waltrip challenging for the lead. Yarborough seems to back off and lets Waltrip go by. Yarborough may have a lot of reasons for easing off the throttle. He may not want to tangle with Waltrip, remembering what happened to Donnie Allison a few minutes ago. Or he may want to watch Waltrip to see how he handles the tricky Darlington turns. Yarborough may also be playing a psychological game. If Waltrip goes all out to pass, then is repassed, he might give up the fight. Yarborough challenges Waltrip and then backs off. Bobby Allison, number 15, one of the 4 major challengers for the lead, is behind the pit wall and probably finished for the day. The last scheduled pit stops are coming up, and Waltrip is first into the pits. Yarborough leads, but he too will have to make a pit stop soon. Waltrip's crew starts refueling before the car comes to a full stop. Aircraft-type fuel connectors are used to save time. Outside tires are changed to give Waltrip a better bite on the track. With outside tires and enough gas to run the distance, Waltrip rolls out in just under 14 seconds. Waltrip stands on the throttle, leaving the pits. And as he passes Cale Yarborough's pit, he may have seen Yarborough's crew with a signboard ready to give him a stop signal. Yarborough slowing down. He knows that Waltrip's made a 14-second stop. Yarborough and Junior Johnson, the crew chief for number 11, know exactly how they plan to handle this final critical pit stop. They're gambling the tires are okay. It looks like 1 can of gas, no more than 11 gallons, and go for it. Long before the gas can is empty, Cale heads for the door. Yarborough's car was standing still, only 4 3/4 seconds. Yarborough guns it back onto the track, trying to accelerate without spinning his wheels and wearing away rubber that's already thin. Yarborough moves into the first turn ahead of Darrell Waltrip. There's Waltrip running flat out. But he's not going to catch Yarborough on this lap at least. Yarborough's up to speed and coming onto the main straightaway with a lead that's about 1/3 of a lap, 10 seconds. Waltrip has fresh tires, and he's proven that he's as fast or faster than Yarborough. Can he run Cale down in the few laps that are left? Junior Johnson, mastermind of Yarborough's crew, stands quietly in the pits with the look of a man who has everything in hand. The radio that connects him to Yarborough is quiet. There's no need to plan anymore. Just drive it, Cale. Drive it. Yarborough's doing just that. He's run more than 6,000 competitive miles on this track during his career. He eases off the throttle just a bit, and Waltrip picks up a full second. But that's not going to be enough. Unless his car breaks, Yarborough's got it won. But he's crashed as often as he's won on this track, so Yarborough's not about to let his mind wander. Petty's car is in the pits, and Dave Marcus is back in the fast chair. Richard's worn out by wrestling it through the turns. Even the padding under his uniform didn't cushion the G-load as the car turned left. Yarborough is cruising the last 2 laps. Coming off the backstretch, he'll be looking for the white flag at the finish line. And there it is, signaling 1 more lap to go. 32 more seconds. 4 more left turns to complete 367 laps. Although Waltrip's close to within 5 seconds, Yarborough's going to win this race if he keeps it running another half lap. Yarborough's winning game plan was simple. Stay out of trouble in the early laps. Race with men you can trust. Give everybody else a lot of room. Make your pit stop a little faster than the next man. And always use your head. And there's the checkered flag for Cale Yarborough. It's 4 hours, 17 minutes since the green flag waved. Cale can coast around now to meet his crew in Victory Lane. Coasting has never been Cale's style. 13 years ago, Cale was charging for the lead when this racetrack almost chewed him up and spit out the pieces. He was running wheel to wheel with Sam McQuagg when suddenly Cale Yarborough went flying out of this racetrack. As Cale steps from his car in Victory Lane, the first man ever to win the Southern 500 4 times, he has to have some memory of that moment. There's nothing as great as coming back from defeat to win the Southern 500. Cale's wife and some of the Yarborough children are in Victory Lane to help celebrate. There's the winner's trophy and a check from Barney Wallace, president of the Darlington Raceway. Cale takes home $30,000 this afternoon. That prize money doesn't have far to travel. The Yarborough clan lives just down the road a piece in Timmonsville, which proudly calls itself the home of Cale Yarborough. Next year, Cale will likely be racing for his 5th victory. And the crowds that seem to grow each year will be back with Cale for the Southern 500.